Does anyone have a question?
Stuart, Chikor, would you talk about how to relax while efforting?
Uh, the best way, you can't really make an effort if you're not relaxed. What you're doing is forcing it to happen, and it's never going to happen. So you have to truly relax first. How do you relax? Does that little so hum exercise, you bring your attention below the navel, you relax. You listen to your breathing. You can run around the block 3 times. Whatever you have to do to relax. Because it's not really an effort if you're forcing yourself to try and open. All that's going to happen inside is you're going to get tighter. So the whole beginning of this meditation is relaxing, letting it happen, trusting that you don't have to make it happen, trusting that it's happening all around us all the time and inside us, and letting go. And on top of all that, it's getting training so that you master the exercise and you master staying centered in the third chakra. You master keeping your heart open. You master the breathing. This is all part of it. This is all part of developing a system inside that is strong enough to be able to receive the energy of God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, higher energy. But this meditation is not going to work if you try to make it or force it to work. It won't work. You're going to get tighter inside. If the chakras are not open and you breathe heavy into the heart, it's just going to get tighter. If the chakra below the navel is not open and you breathe heavily in there, it's just going to get tighter. So how do you do it? You relax yourself by listening to your breathing. You bring your attention below the navel. That will open that chakra. You feel gratitude. Understand? And then when you breathe into these areas, they really will expand and open. You're not making it happen. It is happening. You're letting it happen by becoming a master of this meditation. Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask?
Stuart, it's Brad.
Yes, Brad.
From time to time in this class, and also when I'm working with your picture at home, someone else's face becomes superimposed over yours. I don't recognize who it is. Sometimes it's a different person of a different race. What's to do? Nothing.
What are you going to do? It could be seeing different incarnations of me, different layers of me. It doesn't matter, Brad. Just open, stay focused. People see light, auras, colors. They see me. Sometimes I'm 150 years old. Sometimes I'm an infant. They see me as, some Indian Swami, as Rudy, as Nityananda. It's all, for God's sake, what I am. A composite of, probably everything that exists on the earth. We're all that. And as you go deeper inside, you begin to see the layers of what you are and of what other people are. So I wouldn't worry about it. Just open, take in the energy. Don't think about it. Try to figure it out. You never will. I never, have. Rudy, I used to sit with Rudy, he said, what do you see? And I would tell him what I see. And it would all these, images within images and gurus and swamis and rinpoches I would see in him. And he would just smile.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I would smile too, because it was a wonderful show. I mean it. I don't mean entertainment, but it was a wonderful thing to experience. The multi-levels. Please try and sit still. The multi-levels of what other human beings are and what we are. There's so many different levels inside all of us. And ultimately, even in one of my books, he's talking about this professor, this young kid, he's in Hunter College, and he's talking about his professor who says that if you kill one person, you literally kill the entire world. Because that's what exists inside every human being. And I think there's truth in that. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Hi, Stuart.
Yes.
There seems to be a lot of different paths, but only one main road. Could you talk about that?
Thank God. Imagine if 7 billion people showed up in the Zoom class. I mean, God bless. I am so grateful that there are thousands of different paths to God, because I simply couldn't deal with, everyone, and everyone's unique and everyone should have their path. I mean, it's not, I'm just grateful I can do this. And there are people that come and are getting such huge benefits from this, but it's not for everybody. There are many paths, there are many religions. The danger is when people get righteous about what they do. My path is the only path. If you don't believe in Christ, you're going to spend eternity in hell. This kind of thing. If you don't, you got to be Jewish. I used to hear this all my life from people. These kind of things, and it always never sat well with me. I said, no, there's so many people. There have to be many paths, But I think the danger is when people find a path, it is the only path. And I think people really, they trap themselves in a prison. They don't open to what the world has to teach them from so many different religions, so many different, insights into the depth of humanity, the depth of God, the depth of spirit. And just thank God there are so many paths. I mean, there's so many, look, you take Rudy's work. I don't know, there are 20, 30 people that teach this. I bet every single one of them is a completely different experience. It's not going to be the same. Well, so I used to hear that so-and-so, nobody teaches about the Hatha, being grounded. I said, look, people go where they want to go. Everybody's attracted to what their karma brings to them, And I said, it's none of my business what other people teach. It really isn't. And I'm sure people talk about me, I don't know what they say. I don't care. I don't really give a damn. So there are lots of different paths, and there should be lots of different paths because there's so many different people. And I said, the only danger is getting righteous about what you do. Whatever it is, being righteous. This is the only way. My way. You're going to burn in hell if you don't believe in Christ. I used to hear this all the time when I was younger. And I used to hear the same thing about how, if you were born Jewish, you were born a chosen person. And I used to say to myself when I was what was I chosen for? I really used to say this to myself when I was a kid. What? I'm a chosen person. I'm miserable. I'm unhappy. I'm neurotic. I can't hardly live with I'm a chosen person. God bless this world. If I'm one of the chosen people. I was 15, I used to say this to myself when I would hear my parents talk that way. You go to the synagogue, you would hear that, you'd read about it in books. Say, for what? What do That's the danger. Not that there are so many paths. That people that follow paths are not open to learn from other paths, That's the danger. Righteousness is the biggest danger. Being right. You know the way. I don't know the way. I do this. Works. So I do it. If it didn't work, I wouldn't do it, And I've been doing this for a long time and it just keeps working and getting better and better. That's why I do it. I don't do it because this is my way, ah.
We're all on a unique journey. I'm on my own journey. It's unique in its own way.
You're on your unique journey. You use this energy to find your unique journey. That's why you come here. You don't come here because this is Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever it is. I don't even know what the hell it is. Rudyism. You come here because you get your unique energy, not to become a swami, a yogi, a rishi, or whatever, an arhat. You come to get the energy to find your unique way. And an ultimate realization is that the only real guru is life, not somebody that walks around in a robe and, it's all bullshit, It's life. You come here to get the energy to embrace the real teacher, life. And life will teach you your unique way. And all this class is about is getting the energy, getting the training to find your path, whatever it is, what doors open. And that's why people should come back, just not to practice Rudyism or, Stuartism, or to get the energy so they can find their own unique way. You do that, you are giving me a great gift. You're really freeing me. And I truly want my freedom, and that's why I do what I do. And if people come here and get the energy, look, a refrigerator needs energy, a car needs gasoline, people need energy also. And this class is like I always say, it's like a gasoline station, petrol station. You come and fill your tanks with energy so that you can find your unique path in God. This is not religion, what we do here. Thank God for that. And I always say that, people that are enlightened, they don't know they're enlightened. They just live that way. They don't have some thing in their brain saying, I'm enlightened. I attain my enlightenment. They just live that way. It's totally innocent, naive almost, just able to live that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you come here, you come to fill up your gas, your tanks. I'm a station attendant here, and I just pump Shakti. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart,
Yes.
after your Monday class, I decided to reread Leah, your book Leah,
Yeah.
and I found it very moving. And I wanted to ask if you had any further thing to say about the healing work, because it seems like such an important,
Well, that was the essence of the book.
yeah.
It's all about this energy I keep talking about and how it heals. It heals each and every one of us. I mean, there was a young girl, she was 13 years old. The doctors told her she had 3 weeks to live. It's a true story, and 6 months later, they did an operation on her. I mean, the doctor came dancing out of the operating room. We got the whole thing. We've never seen anything like this. We got the whole tumor. It was extraordinary. And it all came from this Shakti, the energy that transformed the tumor, began to form a sac around itself. It was drying up inside her. It was like months and months of, I think, some of the most impossible work I ever did in my life, working with that young girl. It was staggering how difficult that was. I mean, I was living in Denton, and every day I would fly from Denton to Houston. Every day for like 3 weeks in a row, and then fly back again to spend an hour and a half doing healing work with that child. It transformed the tumor. I mean, that's a very interesting book. I don't know how many of you have not read it, but I would suggest, it's a book I wrote a long time ago. But that's the power of Shakti. It heals.
Richard Gere really liked it a lot and said it should be out there for everyone to read.
Well, he got me the publisher, Richard.
Yeah.
I sent that book, this is true, I sent that book to 72 publishers. And I got 70 agents, I got 72 rejections. And one day Richard was in my gallery, we were talking. I said, Richard, you're in that freaking world. I said, I wrote this book, manuscript. Can you read it? And if you really like it, maybe you know somebody who would publish it. So he went home and he read it and called me up, Stuart, I love this book. And he called up somebody at Wisdom Publications. And he sent them the book and they got in touch with me. We want to publish a book. And then Richard wrote the introduction to it. That's why I independently publish books now, because I got so tired of dealing with that publishing world. It's a nightmare. So I just publish the books. People read them like you read it, and Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
In the case of that girl you were just talking about, how do you know when healing, intervening in someone's life or death is helpful or
I'll
not?
tell you how. I spend, I don't know, a good portion of my time working with this child. She was 13 years old. She was very dear to me. She was almost like in a sense, a daughter of mine. Our mother used to study with me, and I used to take her on trips with me. We would go to ashrams around Texas, and I would take her on trips with me, and then I hadn't seen her or her mother for like 3 years. And I got a phone call that, they're in the hospital, can I come? And I walking off the elevator and, she's talking that they gave her 3 weeks to live. And I said, who? And she said, her daughter. I said, my God, I went and it just broke my heart. And I started working with her. I asked her first if she wanted to live, and she said, yeah. And then we started working. And the incredible thing is that when she was, it came out of that, and that tumor was taken out of her, anyway, I don't want to talk about it. It breaks my heart to talk about what happened. It really does. It breaks my heart. Read the book. You can't interfere with death, but you can bring somebody alive. And then it's their choice what they want to do with that life, not my choice. And if they decide that they want to die, then you have to let them go. There was another student of mine, Chris, you know that guy, I forgot his name. He used to.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, I remember him.
Yeah, he had AIDS. And
Chris, his name was Chris.
I was living in Woodstock, and he was living up there too. And he was in the hospital, and the guy had this I don't know what sarcoma, something. Anyway, his whole body was covered with scabs. And, and I was sitting with him and in the hospital, and I said to him, I said, look, I said, why are you holding on? I said, why are you fighting an impossible battle? If you let go, you're going to come back here a beautiful baby with everything to live for. You're going to be, it was incredible. You're going to bring everything you've learned in this lifetime into your next lifetime. And you're going to be this beautiful child with a whole life to live for. So why are you hanging on to this suffering, this pain? The next day he left.
Yeah.
It went right through him, and he just was lying there shaking his head, and he left. So the whole thing is you give life, but then people have to choose what they want to do with that life. And if people choose a path that leads to the grave, then you can't interfere. You have to let them die. Interfering is interfering with God's work in the world. And this is not stuff I'm making up. It's stuff that literally I've experienced in my life, all of these things I've been through. I don't talk about what I read in books. I talk about what really happened in my life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? You can get that book, Leah. It's really, I tell you, it's one of the most interesting books about, psychic healing and energy transmission and how that works. It'd be good education. People would read it. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, it's Paula.
Yes.
Can you talk about the spine, that we bring our energy also to the tip of the spine? And I feel like it's like a Jacob's ladder to heaven. I just wondered if you could.
That's exactly what it is, Paula, a Jacob's ladder to heaven. The spine is the only area in a human being where energy rises. It's the Kundalini force. And the Kundalini energy is the pathway to enlightenment. It goes into the crown chakra, and then it will, kind of stay there and germinate. And then the crown chakra opens. It's called the 1,000-petal lotus, the Sahasrara. And the soul of a human being connects with the soul of the universe. That marriage is really a state of enlightenment that takes place. And what comes back is knowledge, wisdom, love, joy, a spiritual life. But without, the spine, the energy, that's where the energy rises. It's where the energy, we're connected to God through the energy rising in the spine, the Kundalini force. That's why it's important to sit straight. It's important to,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great questions, folks. Great questions. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Just one other thing on spines. If someone has a damaged spine, its energy will still go, right?
The energy will still go. Look, Bob can tell you, we had a girl who lived in Texas named Belinda, who was in an accident and she was quadriplegic, and I mean, it was amazing how she used to have meditations. Amazing. And she was quadriplegic. I went to visit her and her mother, took one look at them, and I said, if you want to come live in my house, you're welcome to come live in my house. And this kid was just something, So, yes, it goes up the spine also. It's like a channel, Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be a class Sunday. Monday, I have to not have class because I have to go have this treatment. But there will be a class on Sunday and next Wednesday. And God bless you all. Thank you for these incredible questions. And I hope I see everybody on Sunday. Bless you.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
for the
much, Stuart.
beautiful class.
Thank you
Mm.
so much.